Welcome back to Self-Publishing Made Easy. My name is Marcus Williams. Today we are diving into book covers, and you have a lot of options here. First and easiest option is just to hire somebody else to do it, and there are a wide variety of costs associated with that. You can find someone on one of the gig sites for fairly cheaply, or there are websites of publishers who offer book cover design, a couple $100 up to $500-600. The thing you need to be aware of, first of all, if you're going to hire someone, you need to see their work first. So ask for a sample of their work or their portfolio, and then you need to make sure that they have done covers in your genre before, because genre matters when it comes to book covers. It actually matters a lot. People say don't judge a book by its cover, because everybody does. It's just as true today as it always was. So check their portfolio, make sure they're familiar with your genre, and that they're willing to work with you to get the product that you want, that they do their research, that they have the expertise, they put together a good-looking product. It's not just about someone who knows how to throw a picture together on Photoshop. Anybody can do that. You can do that. So don't hire someone to do what you can do. Hire someone that can do it better, or is an expert that has a skill you don't have. Then once you start negotiating, if you find the person that you like, you're confident they can create the cover that you want, you need to make sure you will communicate what you want the cover to look like, the elements that you want on the cover, the feeling you want the cover to invoke. Be very clear about the genre that the book falls under so they know the style they need to go for. If you have a particular color scheme, whatever it is you want, and then make sure that you have built-in revisions. So when they send it to you, if you don't like it, if you want corrections, that built into your contract are a certain number of revisions so that you can send it back and they will fix it for you. I've hired someone to do a cover before, and it turned out horribly, and I ended up doing it myself and it turned out much better. But I think it was just because of a lack of, they didn't really get the feeling we were going for, and that was a communication issue on my part. That was my fault, not the designer's fault. So you have to communicate, make sure you have a good contract, make sure you check their portfolio. Okay, now I want to talk about doing research, cover research, and then also go in a little bit if you want to create a cover yourself. If you want to give it a go, I'll show you a tool where you can do that. So make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, and let's get into it. All right, so let's talk research a little bit. You can do this for free. I'm also going to show you a paid tool that makes it a little easier. But if you go to Amazon, basically you want to look at what books are selling in that genre and what do their covers look like. So you'll go up here to bestsellers, and this is all of Amazon. So you're going down to Kindle. Takes a little bit to get into it. Kindle ebooks. And then you want to go, let's do cozy mysteries. How about that? Crime, mystery, cozy. Okay, so these are your best sellers for cozy mysteries right now. And this is what they look like. And you've got bold colors. You can look at the fonts. So these are very similar fonts here, even though they're different authors. That actually looks more like a fantasy to me than a cozy mystery, which is interesting. This font, again, is same author. She uses the same font. So they have a certain look to them, right? They look like a drawing or a graphic. You're not using a lot of actual pictures. So let's go look into another. Let's look at romance. Let's see, sweet romance. Small town romance, let's do that. Okay, small town romance are using pictures. You've got photos of people in them. And you've got a different color palette. Instead of bright primary colors, you have more muted, soft colors. You've got print and script combined together in multiple places. Okay? So this is what research is about. You choose the genre of your book, you go and look at the bestsellers in that genre, and what do they look like? What kind of color schemes are they looking like? What kind of images are they using? What are the fonts they're using? That kind of thing. Yours doesn't have to look like these exactly, but it needs to fit, because someone seeing your book needs to know just by the cover, based on all the covers out there, what genre your book is. I recently read a book that looked like a cozy mystery cover, and I read it, and it was more of an erotic romance, and that did not make me happy, because that's not what I was looking for when I saw the cover. Okay, so that is the free version. Let's look at a paid version that does the same thing. So this is a product called Publisher Rocket, and this isn't just useful for this portion of your process. This is useful in a bunch of different ways. It just happens to have this functionality. So you can do competition analyzer. So let's do Cozy Mystery again. All right, so this is just showing you competition, and you can go in and see the covers again. That one we saw before, right? And this one gives you more information because it shows you how long it's been on the market. It shows you their bestseller rank. It shows you what they're selling it for and how much they're making a month on this book in sales. So this is a great way to do a lot of research in your genre, but covers as well. Another way to do it is essentially the same thing that you did on Amazon, but you're doing it here instead. So this gives you all the options. You can look at what audiobooks are looking like. You can look at what Kindle books are looking like. And this is you're diving into like specific subgenres and everything. All right, so even that like mystery cozy animals, mystery cozy hobbies. So we're getting down into the weeds. So let's just look at this cozy, and pulled up a lot of the same books. All right, so that's just doing it through a tool. This tool is made by the same company that makes Atticus, and it is also a one price updates for life. So you're going to be seeing Publisher Rocket again in future lessons when I talk about keyword searches and genres and all the research you need to do to give your book the best chance of being found. So do your research first, and then whether or not you're creating your own book or you're asking someone else, you're hiring someone else to create that book for you, you can now tell them, this is what I want my cover to look like, because this is, and you'll know that they know what they're doing when you ask for their portfolio, and you can compare it against the bestsellers and see, are they actually doing research before they work on the books. All right, so let's talk about a tool if you want to create your cover yourself. If you have access to Illustrator or Photoshop and you are comfortable working with them, those are very powerful tools, obviously. This is Canva. It's an online tool, and it has a free version, and it has a ton of free images, and it also has a paid version. In the free version, you can actually purchase the rights to use images individually by per image. In the pro version, you have access to all of those images, and I see a lot of times people ask the question, are you allowed to use Canva to design your books? The answer to that question is yes, you can use Canva. They have all of that information on their website, all the legalities and everything, and I'm not a lawyer, so don't take this as legal advice, but Canva explains it all. But they have an entire category to help you design book covers. So yes, that is part of what they expect people to do on their platform. You just have to make sure you're using the images correctly, that you've paid for the rights, whether through your pro subscription or through purchasing the individual images you are going to use. Okay, so this is one of my books, and I'll show you a couple. And think about, what genre do you think this is when you look at it? Hopefully I got it right. So it is, this font is a font very often used in fantasy, and this is an action adventure fantasy. So that's what I'm going for. So I have elements of the story baked in to my cover, and this is a fairly busy looking cover, which fantasy books often are, and I did my research on that. There are some different design ways to go about for a fantasy, but I wanted to invoke the more action, the more adventure side of fantasy rather than the fantastical side of fantasy. So I even dove deeper into the subgenres to find what worked, and then you have to also go with what you like and what you feel represents your book well. So here's Canva has a lot of tools, and they have a lot of tutorials online about how to use Canva. So what I would suggest, I'm just going to give you a few pointers, is when you can tell when a person knows what they're doing and what they don't, if there's depth to your cover. It doesn't mean it has to be super busy. Like this one is a little busy on purpose, but you don't want it to look flat. So I've gone and I duplicated the page here so I can mess with this one. So for example, this lava. Now I use a lot of my own photos as well, so that I'm not so worried about the rights. So a lot of these photos are mine. The lava is not. That's an image that I've paid for the rights to use. So if I take that away, look what that does to the picture. Okay. Now this is that you can see some smoke and fog there in the background. Look what that does. Transparency. What if so this is the image as it stands. Like normally, this would be the image flat. Okay, so you see that's hard to read. So that is just all flat images. I just dumped images on top of each other, dumped the text on it, and that's it. So you've got this clearing or this forest is actually in the book, and it's a real location based on a place I've actually been, and I took a picture. So but it's really hard to read when you have it just flat like this. This red line represents the Italian police, the Carabinieri, and the flaming grenade is the Carabinieri symbol. And this is a picture that I actually took and then tweaked in Photoshop to give it the kind of stylize it a little bit. But I actually I have one of these badges from a Carabinieri hat that I purchased on eBay, took pictures of it. So that's my own image. But if you just took the flat image and put it on there without kind of the stylized that I did in Photoshop, it even looks worse. So that looks very amateur, right? Because I did nothing with it. But when I added a little bit of fog in the background, I added this corner with lava, which also added some fog. So you can now kind of see the trees through the fog. It's got depth. And that's the difference. So let me show you another one. All right, so this is one that I'm working on now. And basically, I chose an image that I like. And one thing, so in Canva, you can search for images. You can search for graphics and shapes and all that. You can also upload your own photos. So I'll create something and then I'll duplicate it and tweak it. So here we've got this picture that I took that matches the location in this book, and I chose, this is more of a thriller, but I wanted it to give kind of the Southwest feel in the font, so that's why I chose that font. There's a rattlesnake obviously involved, so you kind of see the rattlesnake floating. So this was just one option, and I actually had a couple before this that I've already deleted because I know I'm not going with them. But then I duplicate it and I change the font and look at it that way. And then I say, what about if I did it in black and white? So I duplicate it and do it in black and white. So now this right here, this is one thing that you don't want hard lines when you have transitioning between pictures. And Canva doesn't have a way right now to blur the edges of a photo, so you have to add blur on top of it. So this, see that? Now we have a hard line. I put a black box up there so you could read the title better, so it wasn't blocked by the clouds, or else these letters would have been lost in the clouds. but it doesn't read very well. But if I add a blur, which is an element, suddenly that black blurs into my image and gives it depth. Same thing down here. I have a white blur from the top so that you can read the black font. Then I duplicated that. I added another little graphic. I changed the colors a little bit. That's the great thing about Canva is you can just duplicate and play with, so you're not playing with one image and then trying to remember what you had before. You just duplicate it and play with the new one. This one I started messing with colors in my writing here. Still messing with colors and graphics, and I took out the graphic and just kept the colors. Changed which letter, added a different snake graphic in the background, started playing with the colors of that graphic, different snake graphic. So I'm just playing with those. And then what I do is I take it, you saw some of these I had a number on. Basically, I'll create a picture with 6 possibles and share it with my followers and have them vote on it. I rarely end up using exactly one of those, but I get a lot of feedback that way. And I see what people like and what they don't. So for this one, there were 2 that stood out. The color one and one of the black and white ones stood out in the voting. And so now I know what I want to do and what appealed to my readers, and I can tweak that even further. A lot of times the cover that I end up with is very different than the one I set out for voting, because that voting allows me to see what people think, and it can change what I'm looking for. So let me show you one more. Okay, so this is, you'll notice this is part of the series that I showed you, the Flaming Grenade one. So my font is the same, the setup is the same on the book title and the series number. The font for my name is the same, so it's consistent across the series. That's important. But this one went for a very much simpler image, and a lot of people really like this one. I get a lot of comments on this one, but there's still depth to it. If it was just the red circle, and you can see this red circle isn't just a flat circle. There's shading in it. If I would have done just a plain red circle, like taken a shape, it would look flat. So you can see my layers here. This was an image with the rising sun, the Japanese sun, with the samurai warriors together. But I could have done an image of the sun and then found the samurai. And I actually had a bunch of pictures myself from when I was in Japan that I tried, and just the real life images didn't seem to fit well for this book. And so I went with more graphics for this one. But even still, like you've got this picture of Japan. Let me duplicate it so I have one that I can play with. If I take out that image of Japan, that changes the whole thing. It looks very flat now. That does not look good. Even though the rising sun and the samurai tell you it's about Japan, so you already know that. You don't need that added information. Adding that in the background makes a big difference. And then working with transparency also makes things not quite as stark, so it allows you to create depth between the different images that you're layering through transparency. So that's important to work with. So see, this was at 89. Too dark. If I bring it at 100, it's too dark. All right, so that's a simple one. So you may be asking, wait a minute, what about the back cover? So let's get into that. These are obviously for ebooks and for just cover photos on your shop pages, but mostly for ebooks. Paperbacks and hardbacks, you need a back cover, so let's talk about it. Okay, so here is a paperback cover that includes the spine and the back. So how do you know what size? When we go to publish and you upload your file, they will actually tell you what size your cover needs to be. So in Amazon, in KDP, it's based on the number of pages and the size of your book. So if you pick the 5.5 by 8.5 book, and it's 265 pages. Amazon will then tell you your cover needs to be this size. And it's not as easy as I'm making it sound to just find that. They don't just do a pop-up and say, okay, go make your image this size. It's a little bit more complicated than that, which is kind of a pain, but they actually provide you a template you can download as well, and you can just put that template on here and then design within that template. But the great thing about Canva is you can resize. So say you've got your just straight front cover. You can go in and say, custom size. You write exactly what Amazon told you. You can do it by inches or by pixels. Amazon does it by inches. So you do exactly what they say. You get your document here, and then you can, it opens up, it saves it into a different file in a different tab, and then you have to start adjusting everything. So the great thing about the template is it shows you where your spine is. And essentially your spine is direct center, right? But it shows you the width of your spine so that you can put your words, the title within that width and everything else. So you can easily change your sizes within Canva without having to do a lot of work, and then you just have to tweak everything to look good. So obviously this is, again, within the Fountains of Power series. So we've got that same font going on, the same font for the title, same font for the spine and title. I've got my publisher's mark. I use a QR code to send people back to the website, my blurb on the back, and then you have to extend your photo. So in this one, this picture of the Vikings in the background is a photo that I found. It's an old image, so it was free to use. I found on Wikimedia, I believe. But again, providing depth so you can see what layers I've got. So this layer right here, see the difference? It's really hard to read my title now, and it looks flat. And now we've added depth and mystery to it. Another one here kind of does the same thing, adds to it. Or was that the same one I did? Oh, this is at the top, sorry. Same deal, just turned upside down at the top. And then I've got a lightning bolt. So you can kind of see it, and that's what I wanted. I wanted a very vague image of a lightning bolt in the background, but it's in the background. So watch what happens if I move that lightning bolt up here, or here, or here. So you can easily change those layers. So it's actually not that difficult. Once you do the ebook cover, Canva allows you to resize based on the size Amazon tells you to be. If you publish in draft to digital, they do a little better job of taking an image that's close and converting it to the size they need, where Amazon, it needs to be the exact size. And so sometimes it's a little bit of trial and error. You create one, you go into Amazon, you look at their digital proof, and you say, this needs to go over just a smidge. So I'm going to hit the arrow key. 1, 2. Oh, no, 1, 2. Right? And you can adjust things. And so there's a little bit of trial and error there, but it's doable. So that is just a very quick down and dirty of what you can do in Canva with a little bit of practice. And if you remember to work with depth, fonts that match your genre, pictures that match your genre. If you have your own pictures, your own drawings, you can upload them. So say you're doing that romance where they use pictures of people. You just upload, you get your photo wherever you get it from, whether it's from Canva or you hire a photographer or you hire someone, you take a picture of them, you can upload it. They do have some AI features. You can use, they have AI built in to create images. So far, I haven't been super impressed with it. And you just need to remember, if you use AI images, Amazon asks you when you publish, is there AI used in creating this book? And that includes your cover images. And you have to click yes or no. And then people can see that. So there are readers out there who will not purchase a book used with AI. that where AI was used, and there are other people out there who don't care. So that's up to you to decide. You can do all of that within Canva. They've got the AI built into Canva, which is pretty cool. And you create QR codes right there. So it's a really powerful tool. And I have an LLC, and I just purchased the pro version, and it's a tax write-off because I use it as a tool all the time. So Canva is great, but it's not the only one out there. And if you're not comfortable, you don't have an eye for design, hire somebody. All right, so those are kind of your research and a tool that you can use. All right, so that's cover design. So just to recap, do your research into genres, look at the types of graphics, photos, fonts that are used in the best sellers in your genre. Whether you choose to do it yourself or you choose to hire someone else, make sure that you are very clear on what you're looking for, what you want. Look at their portfolio before you hire them so you know that they can do the job you're hiring them to do. And you can get really good covers cheaply, but cheaply doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be worth it or better. You need to look at their portfolio first and determine whether or not they know what they're doing, and make sure that you have the right for revisions. So, all right, that's cover design. You can do it yourself. You can hire it out. It's all about what you're comfortable doing and what your wallet looks like. Because remember, you've paid money for editing, so how much do you have left over for cover design? So that is our lesson on cover design. If you haven't watched previous lessons, go back and watch them now. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Hit the like, and I'll see you next time on Self-Publishing Made Easy. Thanks for watching.